Hi, Stefano Molea here, San Diego criminal defense lawyer and partner at the law office of David Shapiro, where we help good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Now, we're in the business of helping people, and when we meet with a client, we are making a determination about whether or not that particular client in that particular case is a good fit for us. And so for that reason, we don't take every case that comes through the door. But if we believe that there's a mutual sort of interest and we believe that there's a good fit between the firm and the potential client, then obviously we'll work towards formal representation and taking on the case and helping that person. Now, sometimes, however, there is an occasion where the relationship breaks down. Now, why does it break down? Frankly, in our experience, at least in my experience, a lot of times it's because the case becomes a low priority for the client. And then what happens is that the strategy that we've developed as far as tasks that they need to complete, materials they need to get to me, or whatever the case might be as far as following the plan that we had in place, gets sort of ignored. And what happens then is that I'm not able to do the job that I know that I can do for my client because that client hasn't given me the tools. And at that point, it becomes very difficult to do my job well for the client. And I'll usually have multiple conversations, and I'll try to convince that client to be a little bit more proactive and to engage in the case. But if after repeated attempts, I still don't get what I'm asking for, and it's not because they can't get it, it's because they're not trying. Or they are constantly late to phone calls or scheduled appointments, or they're just not taking the case seriously, then sometimes I'll break up with the client. That will sometimes happen. And look, at the end of the day, it could just be that they need someone new. It could just be that the level of communication is, it's just not right for them anymore. Or they just need sort of a splash of cold water in their face to say, oh, wow, I really need to start taking my case seriously. And I think that long-term, that may help the client. So a lot of times people ask, well, if you're a hired lawyer, does that mean that you have to keep a client no matter what? The answer to that is no. That's just one situation in which, we may quote unquote break up with a client, or we may terminate the relationship with the client. But obviously it's one that decision is not taken lightly. It's only taken after multiple attempts to make things better, of course, because ultimately we want to help that person, and that's why we accepted the case in the very first place. So bottom line here is, if you've got a case, stay engaged, stay on top of it. I know it can be difficult, especially when it's stressful. It's easy to just kind of put things aside, especially when you may not have a court date for a long time. But just make sure you stay in contact with the lawyer. Make sure that you take proactive steps towards your case, and recognize that even though it's painful to do now, long-term it's going to be very helpful to you. Hope that information is somewhat helpful. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments or give us a call. Stefano Molea, partner at the law office of David Shapiro, 619-295-3555.